to join an online session with top defense officials on plans to attack the Houthis in Yemen. Defense Secretary Hegseth takes issue with the reporter's claim. Following yesterday's talks with the Russians, U.S. ceasefire negotiators back at the table today. This time, they're talking with Ukrainian officials. Ukraine reports more Russian attacks overnight, this time targeting the Kiev region, as well as areas of eastern Ukraine. 76 airstrikes in all, according to Ukrainian defense officials. Citing national security, Attorney General Bondi has invoked state secrets privilege, refusing to provide a federal district judge with flight data on the deportation of suspected Venezuelan gang members. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures are mixed. More details at srnnews.com.
If you're 65 or older, you know this. Seeing your healthcare costs go up and up is frustrating. And maybe you were just notified that your Medicare costs are increasing again, or you're just tired of the massive deductibles. Well, here's some good news. There's a program that can really help with this. It's MediShare 65 Plus. It's an affordable, reliable alternative. You can choose any Medicare provider. You get telehealth access anytime you need it. And MediShare 65 Plus is a low-cost option for those with Medicare Parts A and B, and it fills in the gaps where Medicare stops. MediShare is a Christian healthcare community that aligns with your faith. People actually pray for you, they encourage you, and it's proven too. It's been going strong for over 30 years now. So call now. You can get one low monthly price for up to 10 years. You're not stuck with increasing costs. You can do something about this today. Call MediShare 65 Plus. Find out how much you can save. Call 833-SHARE-55. That's 833-SHARE 55. 833-SHARE-55.
Here is the latest news and information that impacts you. I'm Derek White. With President Trump's executive order to shutter the education department, decisions will be made at the state level moving forward. Kansas Education Commissioner Randy Watson is ready to step in and has begun by urging school districts to cancel breaks and extend the school year to counteract recent snow days. Watson believes that Kansas kids are falling behind, and we need to be pushing to change the culture around academics in Kansas. He would like to see families pursuing scholastic goals similar to how they chase athletic goals. In Wichita, a compromised breathing system is a possible factor in a workplace death at Textron Aviation in Wichita. 61-year-old Rocky Baldwin was found not breathing in a paint booth on February 24th, and he was wearing a ventilation mask at the time. An internal investigation found the breathing air system unintentionally allowed nitrogen to get into the system, diluting the oxygen content to below acceptable levels. In Goodland, at the public library, they will be hosting Bring Your Own Crafts Wednesday every Wednesday. All ages are invited to attend the weekly event 5 to 7 p.m. Bring your own project and learn from others. The Oberlin American Legion family will be hosting a pancake and sausage fundraiser dinner tomorrow. The free will donation event will run from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Legion. Oakley Elementary School's preschool applications are due this Thursday for the upcoming school year. Students must be 3 years old by June 1st to attend the 25-26 school year. Applications can be picked up at the Oakley Elementary School office or visit oakleyschoolsks.com. This Saturday at the Goodland Public Library, Kansas State Senator Rick Billinger will be in Goodland for a Kansas Town Hall sponsored by the Sherman County Farm Bureau. Come to the Goodland Public Library at 9:30 a.m. to hear from the senator. Next Monday, the Colby Public Schools will be holding their next Board of Education meeting at 7 p.m. in the Colby High School Auditorium. For more information on this and other stories, visit nwksradio.net.
Rocket 102.5.
Today, northwesterly flow will continue as high-pressure ridge is parked over the Rockies and bringing with it some mid-level moisture and clouds. Morning temperatures are in the upper 30s to mid-40s, warm into the low 70s with lighter northwesterly winds at 10 to 20 miles per hour this afternoon. Tomorrow, clouds will be on the decrease as high-pressure ridge expands over the area and south winds increase 15 to 25 miles per hour, gusting to 35, pushing highs into the middle 70s. Thursday and Friday, we can expect really warm temperatures, possibly reaching record readings in the mid to upper 80s. Thursday winds will be breezy at 15 to 25 miles per hour and become windy on Friday, gusting 30 to 40. Ahead of that system, it'll bring us some rain and even some snow chances starting Friday night through the weekend. Saturday's highs will drop in the 60s while only talking 40s on Sunday, with the morning temperatures in that 30 to 35 degree range. It's meteorologist Chris Schromick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
Goodland's Rocket 102.5 is your home for Goodland High School athletics. From touchdowns and three-pointers to home runs, Ross Volkmer has you covered with all the action. Join him for live broadcast on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, your front row seat to the Cowboys and Cowgirls. Select games video streamed on the Goodland Voice. GHS Athletics this season are made possible in part by
Sherman County Community Foundation, the Black and Gold Booster Club, Goodland Regional Medical Center and Family Health Clinic, and the Insurance Agency.
Get ready for the Schilling Cattle Production Sale Wednesday, March 26th at 1 p.m. Central Time. With 60 Angus and 5 Limflex bulls and 10 Angus heifers, there's plenty to choose from. These are big, stout performance kind of cattle and great selection for calving knees bulls. Check them out on Facebook at Schilling Cattle, or you can also watch the sale at TV Auction. The sale is located 6 miles north of the I-70 Exchange in Brewster, Kansas. Come check out great cattle, meet great people, and best of all, eat some fantastic food. So don't forget to mark your calendars for the Schilling Cattle Production Sale Wednesday, March 26th, 6 miles north of Brewster, Kansas.
The Farmers State Bank of Oakley has been financing agriculture since the day we opened our doors. Hello, this is Corbin, and we are proud to be your locally owned partner in ag. We invite you to come and visit with us when you need to purchase new or used farm equipment or need any type of agriculture or business loan. We have the knowledge, experience, and financial resources to keep you growing. The Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community and agriculture for over 115 years. Member FDIC.
Earl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas is hiring now, looking for technicians of all levels and a service advisor to join their team. Enjoy competitive wages, consistent work, plus 401k and health benefits, all in a great work environment. If you're ready for a rewarding career with a trusted dealership, apply today. Visit them in person on South Commerce Road in Goodland or apply on Facebook. Join the Earl Chevrolet GMC family today.
Looking for a delicious meal on the go? Stop by Cowboy Corner in Goodland, Kansas. Start your day with our classic biscuits and gravy or enjoy a fresh, made-to-order sub sandwich for lunch. Whatever you're craving, we've got you covered. Our friendly staff is always ready to serve with a smile. And while you're here, check out our convenience store, filled with snacks, drinks, and everything else you need to keep you going. Whether you're fueling up or just hungry, Cowboy Corner has something for everyone. Stop by today and enjoy great food, friendly faces, and a variety of snacks all in one spot.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery ingestion and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the Insurance Agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Spring is here, and Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware has everything you need for the season. Get your lawn looking its best with Ultimate Fertilizer and power up with Ego blowers and mowers. Got a project? They got a surplus of lumber ready to go. Plus, fire up the fun with their selection of grills and griddles. Hoover's is also proud to sponsor the Pioneer 5K, 10K, half and full marathon supporting Colby Community College cross country on April 26th and remind you to sign up and participate. It's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your one-stop shop for spring.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4! It's the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Being a Nebraska football fan these past few years and watching this team week in and week out, I kind of compare it to like doing drugs. You know you shouldn't do it, but you can't stop. Kids, don't do drugs.
The region's only local sports talk.
Not this again.
Yes, this again.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, simulcasting on Goodland's 730 Gold KLOE.
Guys everywhere.
Discussing it all from the preps.
Rumbaugh fakes the three, fires it from the corner. Yes!
To the pros.
They set up the screen. McLaughlin has it with Miners out in front. McLaughlin's got a first down inside the 10, inside the 5. Touchdown, Denver.
The Blitz is presented by Earl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work.
And good Tuesday morning, everybody. March the 25th. Glad you could join us here on another edition of the Morning Blitz. It's going to be another beautiful spring day. 38 and plenty of sunshine to get our day rolling here on our way to a high of 71. But so glad you could join us here on the Morning Blitz, where we have another full show ahead today. We're going to talk about if Cinderella is dead in the NCAA tournament. We'll talk about, and I mean by that as in going in forward coming years, talking about that. And we will also be talking a little bit about a tough weekend and really a tough time it's been for regional radio voices and personalities, and a busy night in college baseball as well. And also some big news when it comes to the NCAA tournament for the women's side with a big-time injury late last night. We're going to kick off today's show. We're actually have our guest on in early today, and so we are looking forward to having in studio here today for the first time in a while he's been in studio, but we are joined here in studio by Fort Hays Tech Northwest wrestling coach Chris Gio joins us after his team had a phenomenal showing at Nationals here a couple of weeks ago. They had 4 All-Americans, 3 national champs, as well as a runner-up, and ended up finishing 4th there at the national tournament. Coach, thanks for getting up this morning. How you doing today?
Doing well. Thank you.
I tell you, it's almost becoming, I don't want to say old hat's the word, but you're becoming used to this. So, going to the national tournament, being a top 5, top 10 placing team, I'm sure it never gets old. I'm sure it feels really good every time when you make your way back after on that trek back from Council Bluffs. Just like, you know what? This just feels good. We did another good job this year.
Yeah, I was putting some numbers, and that's kind of why I wanted to come in and put some statistics down. I'm not a statistics guy. I'm a results-driven person, but being that I will not be back here next year and I'm moving on, whether it's coaching or whether it's back into the sales world, I felt like I wanted to put some figures down and talk a little bit to the community. So
yeah, go ahead. What are some of these statistics that you have for us? By the way, folks, he's got this tablet that he's scribbled on. He's got all his facts written down here, so he's ready to roll. Go ahead, Coach. What do you got?
Yeah, I've been here for 5.5 years, and I am so grateful for the opportunity after a long sabbatical away from wrestling. I had a career that was, I really enjoyable in sales and sales management. And so Ben Shears and the community said my name kept coming up, and they had a coaching change in the middle of the year in 2019. And they called me and asked me if I'd be interested, and my wife said, go for it. So I had some goals, and I achieved a lot of them, and with some great kids and great coaching staff. But we had 3 top 7 finishes in the country. We've had 8 national champs, 1 national runner-up, and 15 All-American. It's in our 5.5 years here, and really neat that my lifelong good friends. Ramiko Blackman, who wrestled with me at Colby. He didn't wrestle with me at Colby. My high school coach sent us there, and he's been able to coach with me since I've been here. And he was a 2-time Olympic alternate, world team alternate, senior national champ, just an amazing man. And what a great 5 years to have him on staff and us be reunited. And then Coach Tate coming in as the girls coach. And I've known him since I was 17 years old. And my last match in high school was wrestling Coach Tate. So pretty neat to have this family that we've had here together. But, by having, 15 All-American, 9 national finalists, I never thought that could happen with the budgets that we have and where we are located. And so kudos to all my friends that trusted me and sent me their kids and had the faith that I could get these kids where they needed to be. So
real quickly, what do you attribute that success to? Like you said, there were a lot of factors that to an extent kind of went against you to an extent. How did you overcome those, in your opinion? How do you think that happened?
I think just a lot of faith in what I could do, getting the most out of a kid, loving what I do. My passion is pretty clear. A lot of people see it. It's pretty intense. But outside the mat, I'm a pretty relaxed guy when it comes to dealing with people and that I care about, and just letting them know it's about growth. It's never been about winning. That takes care of itself. I mean, this is one of the hardest sports mentally that you could ever even imagine. Whether it's, just the overall mind games of an individual combat sport is just really different. The growth mentally, the preparation prior to a match, the sleep habits, there's just a lot that goes into an individual sport.
We are visiting with the former head wrestling coach for Fort Hays Tech Northwest, Chris Gill. Before we continue on, you mentioned that you're going to step down here. What's the reasoning behind that? It's great, of course, to go out on top. That's always awesome. But what's kind of the reasoning for that?
Well, there's several things. Number one is, I'm a city guy. My wife and I are empty nesters. The community's been great for wrestling, but the lack of support is a big part of it from the community and the crowds. I felt like I wanted to come here for the long haul, and just the numbers. I felt like I could build something more than what I've been able to build. That really is truth on that. The other thing is just it's time. It's time. If I could go on to a 4-year that has a real budget, that I could raise money, make money outside of what I do here. We don't have the population base for me to supplement my income here. Camps, not many people can make it to camps, things like that. So, the college community is phenomenal in support for these kids. I just wish the community in the high school and the different things back here could wrap their head around how hard it is to come into a place like Goodland, Kansas. We need support to want to stay. I've been here, like I said, 5+ years, and I really thought I could get the community behind us and these kids, and the ones that have, but we need more support to keep our coaches. But with that being said, there's been a lot of support in other ways as well from the college. Unbelievable college, unbelievable academics. The way they set kids up for life is second to none. I couldn't recommend a better college than this college, for sure.
Chris Gill in studio with us here. Go back to some of the success that you've had here, of course, at this program, the numbers that you've been able to put together with the success. Then also talk about, what's next for some of these great wrestlers that you had here this year that are going to be moving on to the next level.
Yeah, I wanted to go through the statistics of Lazaro Crespo, who's been here with me for 2 years. He was 4th in the country last year, and he had a record of 32-7 last year. And this year, his record was 27-4 with a total record of 59-11, which is phenomenal. Augie Batsuri, or Atabayer Batsuri, his freshman year, he's our only 2-time national champ in the history of wrestling here. He was 27-1 his freshman year, only losing to a top 20 D1 kid by 1 point. He was 33-1 this year, only losing to Nebraska another D1 kid by 1 point, and his overall record was 60-2 in his 2 years here, only surrendering 7 takedowns in 2 years, which is absolutely insane. And then Joe Blee, who last year had a great year. He was 27-6 his freshman year, tightened up at the national tournament. Like I said, the sport can play some games, and he didn't have his best performance. He was a blood round kid. He was 27-6 as a freshman his sophomore year. He was 24-2 this year, and was a national champ after not even placing at the national tournament last year. But between the three of them, they were 120-21 over 2 years with their record, which I don't know if that could ever be beat. But we also had 4 guys that we had a total of 9 qualifiers at the national tournament, and 4 of those guys made the blood rounds, and we didn't have the blood round we thought we could have, but we knew if we could get through there, we had a chance at a trophy, and we were right there. But we had 4 other guys that finished top 12 in the country, which is pretty amazing. Dayton Bell had a tremendous career here out of Hoxie, Kansas. I couldn't be more proud of a Northwest Kansas kid that really developed, and Northwest Kansas and the west side of Kansas is, it's a big adjustment to college. They don't have the depth and the competition out in this side of the state. They're good wrestlers, but they're not used to that everyday tough match. Especially a kid out of Hoxie, they might have one tough match a year because they're so dominant. But for him to make those adjustments and to keep grinding the way he's done, I couldn't be more proud of a Northwest Kansas kid. And that is he's pretty special kid. He's a very special kid.
Once again, we're visiting with Chris Gio. Joins us here in studio, talking a little Fort Hays Tech Northwest Wrestling. Another great year, finishing 4th at Nationals, 4 All-Americans, 3 national champs, and a runner-up as well. And once again, this is not a surprise. I think there's been a ton of success underneath your leadership. And those guys, there's some guys I even saw, that have moved on to the next level that have had some really good success. Some guys up at UNK and some other spots as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Pretty amazing year all around for some of our alumni, plus this group of guys. But former All-American who was 6 for me, Jacoby Deal, made the national finals in Division II this year. That's fantastic. That's where I went to college. So it's really cool to see that. And his brother Jakari, who was a national champ for me, finished 8th in the country this year. And University of Nebraska Kearney brought home the national title and ran away with it like Penn State. I mean, it was that dominant for University of Nebraska Kearney this year, which leads me into that they're recruiting my kids, and they're trying to work a package deal for they tried for all 3, but it's going to cost them a lot of money. But Joe Blee and Octombear and Batsuri are really considering going there, and they're going to be taking their visit, and I'd love to see them at my old alma mater and have a chance to win another national title and be on a great team with a ton of support, community support, just a big backing that they've built there. And then Lazaro Crespo, he obviously was being looked at, but they were looking at the package, and I don't think they could afford it, even though they begged and tried to figure it out. But Lazaro Crespo will be taking a visit to University of Central Oklahoma, a perennial power. That is usually UNK and UCO always battling for that national title, and And I have a feeling he's going to have a good visit there, and I think that might be a great fit for him.
I got to ask a question about Augie Batsuri, who, like you said, went 60-2, which is just an unbelievable record. And did him or any of these other guys get any Division I looks to go? And not that, once again, there's anything wrong going with the powers of Division II. I'm a Division II guy myself, so I have nothing against it. But when you're 60-2, you'd be thinking you'd be getting some more looks at the Division I level. How does that work on the recruiting side?
Well, the truth is, but our kids are in trades here, so the transferable hours aren't
don't line up as good as they need to.
Yeah. And but we're here to get jobs in future for the kids, and I love that fact that it's more than just wrestling to me, and that's why I recruit trade kids. I begged Augie and I begged Batsuri to try and get to that D1. He would have been a top recruit with big NIL money. Iowa State wanted him. There were many people that called me, as well as Crespo and Joe Blee. Arizona State was blowing up my phone at the national tournament saying I got a full ride for all three of your guys. So yeah, they're special. I believe Lazaro Crespo, you're just seeing the tip of the iceberg with him. I believe he could be a world level guy. His growth has been exceptional. Joe Blee is just touching what he's starting to be able to do confident wise. I got him dual citizenship with Mexico. His family and is originally from Mexico. He was born in America, and he will be wrestling in Mexico in April as trying to make the U20 world team. And I think one day you'll see him as an Olympian for Mexico. Pretty neat.
No, absolutely. Very, very cool. Just a few more minutes here with Chris Gio in studio talking Fort Hays Tech Northwest Wrestling. Of course, you may be going, but there's going to be some kids, I'm guessing, will be sticking around. I mean, what are your thoughts on some of the guys that may be coming back? I mean, of course, it's up to them. They could, of course, transfer. I mean, the portal is always open, as they say. So what are your thoughts on some guys that might be coming back to wrestle again?
We were a pretty sophomore-heavy group, and, with what just happened, losing one of our athletes in the car wreck on the interstate, it hit us really, really hard. We're still wheeling from that. We buried Dawson Hogan on Saturday. It's been a very, very emotional week for all of us. And, kids came here for the school, but they also came here because they felt like they could succeed in wrestling. Part of the reason I'm stepping down early, I'm going to fulfill my contract. I earned my money. So, I do want them to be able to replace me as soon as possible to give the new coach an opportunity to recruit his own guys and try and keep what I have. But it's going to be tough to keep those kids, those top kids. They're already asking to leave. So, but if they get a coach in here early enough, they will have a chance to talk to them and sell them on what they feel like they can do for them. So, that will be up to those kids and up to that coach and getting this hiring process done early so they can try and keep this train moving.
Well, Coach, before we let you go, I know you're a Louisiana guy, so I got to ask, what's your favorite Louisiana dish to eat?
Ooh.
Cajun food. I got to know.
My favorite seafood is boiled crabs. My favorite rice dish is jambalaya.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite soup is you can't miss gumbo.
You can't miss gumbo. Cajun through and through. Chris Gio, former Fort Hays Tech Northwest wrestling coach here in studio. Coach, thank you so much for stopping by and giving some great statistics, and best of luck to you and your family going forward, all right?
Yeah, and with that last thing being said, I really do appreciate everything. Ben Shears, Rory Kling, the teachers, and everybody that gave me this opportunity to try and build something here. But please get behind these kids. I don't care what sport it is. They come a long ways. They bring national recognition to your town. They also, don't have much family, have to travel or stuck here on vacations. These kids need y'all. Please get behind this community. Keep your coaches. You can't build winning programs with coaches that rotate through here every 2 years. And y'all are the part that will keep them. So please get behind your coaches. Get behind these kids. They need y'all.
Thank you, Coach. Once again, we'll get to a break. We'll come back. We got plenty more to get to here on a Tuesday edition of the Morning Blitz. We're going to change gears when we come back in segment 2. We're going to talk a little college basketball and answer the question, is Cinderella dead in the NCAA tournament? That's next during the Morning Blitz.
At Nextech Wireless, we're committed to delivering more than just quality wireless service. We're here to provide you with exceptional customer support every step of the way. Experience our service risk-free for 30 days. Plus, for a limited time, get an iPhone 16 Pro Max on us when you buy one with our best plan and handset protection. Nextech Wireless, connecting Kansans.
It's time now for news from the world of agriculture on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
For the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network, I'm Caitlin Walters. Cattle producers face a complex market as economic signals and drought conditions create uncertainty. Ben Brown, an agricultural economist at the University of Missouri, says they are closely watching consumer economic signals and are concerned about potential declines impacting meat prices.
Quite a few people are nervous that some of the consumer and macroeconomic signals are starting to decline, and that could have an impact on meat prices. There's also a concern about the international markets. This week in the headlines was about the Chinese government not renewing license for U.S. meat export facilities and what that could mean for meat prices.
Brown notes that most producers in his home state manage herds of 100 to 400 cow-calf pairs, and that a significant concern for cattle producers is ongoing drought.
Southwest Missouri has a lot of beef cattle. Southwest Missouri is where we also had 3 years of intense and then sneaky drought is what I would call it. Last year we had some late season dryness that impacted the row crops. Well, that also caused a lot of cattle producers to start feeding hay in September and October across Missouri. So drought has had a big impact in Missouri. Just lack of forage availability for livestock, not enough pond water. That's had a big impact.
Additionally, he points out that some producers are taking advantage of high cattle prices to sell out, often due to retirement.
I would also say we are seeing some shifts in demographics. That's playing out in the data. Producers are choosing this as an opportunity to sell out, take advantage of high cattle prices, sell out. And those cows are going down the road to a different operation. Well, actually, I take that back. A lot of the cows are entering up in processing facilities.
That was Ben Brown, agricultural economist with the University of Missouri. For the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network, I'm Caitlin Walters. Today, we're talking with Zach Ogles, agronomy manager from Tessenderlo Curley. Zach, how can Thiosol and KTS improve outcomes for wheat growers?
When they apply a product like one of our thiosulfates, they're not only going to be receiving the sulfur benefit, they're going to be protecting the nitrogen that they're applying along with it. We can help the grower reduce losses through nitrate leaching. We're helping to protect the groundwater, improving the well water quality, while keeping most of that nitrogen available to the plant.
Ask your local ag retailer for Thiosol and KTS.
LivestockMarket.com offers all the tools you need for a successful production sale. The easy-to-use online platform makes it super easy to take bids from anywhere in the world. Buyers can place pre-bids and real-time bids, browse your sales catalog, and watch your sale broadcast live. LivestockMarket.com is also the ideal platform for private treaty sales and timed online-only auctions. There's no easier way to find buyers for cattle, horses, sheep, and hay. Sell on your terms today with LivestockMarket.com.
Earl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas is hiring now, looking for technicians of all levels and a service advisor to join their team. Enjoy competitive wages, consistent work, plus 401k and health benefits, all in a great work environment. If you're ready for a rewarding career with a trusted dealership, apply today. Visit them in person on South Commerce Road in Goodland or apply on Facebook. Join the Earl Chevrolet GMC family today.
From the latest scores to the hottest takes,
60% of the time, it works every time.
we're bringing the game to you. You're tuned in to the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Right on time, 7:35 Mountain, 8:35 Central Time on a Tuesday, March the 25th. Sunshine and 38 to get the day going. Mostly sunny skies today on our way to a high of 71 degrees. Plenty to get to, left to go in today's show. We'll talk about it being a rough stretch for radio voices within the listening region. Big night of college baseball regionally coming up here tonight, and we can start talking a little bit more about college baseball as the basketball season kind of starts winding down a little bit here. Speaking of some stuff on the diamond real quickly, though, Fort Hays Tech Northwest softball lost both games in North Platte yesterday, 5-0 and 10-2. That drops the Tigers to 0-22 this season. Tech has a good time off before they play down at Butler on Saturday. And there is some baseball tonight on the local level. You've got Colby Community College baseball taking on Otero today. Once again, the Trojans, mentioned this yesterday, have won 10 of their last 12. So 10-2 in their last 12. A great stretch here for Ryan Carter's Trojan baseball team. And Decatur. And so today is also a high school baseball opener for Scott City and Decatur Community. I believe Decatur Community, it's their first year, at least in a long time. They might have had it many years ago, but Decatur Community has a baseball program this year up there in Oberlin at the high school level, and they will be taking on Scott City today. At least that was in my schedule that I put together. So that's all going on here on today on the local sports side of things. I want to transition into more talks on the NCAA tournament from basketball from this past week, which, by the way, I don't know if anybody saw this, but last night in the women's tournament, a game that Kansas State fans probably had their eyes on was USC and Mississippi State. USC went on and routed Mississippi State 96-59. They are an absolute wagon, are the Trojans of Southern Cal. But in massive news, they will not have their star player, Juju Watkins, the rest of this season as she tore an ACL in the first quarter. Now, they were up like 13-4 when it happened, so I'm not saying like USC is just going to fall in a heap and not be very good the rest of the way, but that certainly changes the game for Kansas State women going forward, as it'll be K-State and USC facing off in the Sweet 16. And without Juju Watkins, that definitely has to up the chances of the Lady Wildcats pulling off an upset. So that was huge news late last night in the NCAA women's basketball tournament. But as we push on here, I want to get to a topic that was very, very big. And I talked about it a little bit yesterday in Weekend Winners and Losers, but it became a bigger story, I feel like. It became a bigger story in the national media yesterday, and I thought it was fascinating. But I talked about it in Weekend Winners and Losers about how, there really wasn't a lot of excitement. There was not a lot of close games. There weren't a lot of buzzer beaters. There weren't a ton of upsets in the first round of the men's NCAA tournament. And so the question I posed today to those who are listening and I want to chime in on the F&B Bank text line at 785-899-2222. If you want to chime in on that, love to hear from your thoughts. The question I want to pose today, is Cinderella dead in the NCAA tournament? Is Cinderella dead? So the teams that you were like, who is that team? And they pull off these upsets against really, really big programs. Is Cinderella dead in the NCAA tournament? That's the question I have. So if you want to chime in on the text line, FNB Bank text line at 785-899-2222, would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on that. But you look at it, in a lot of the games, there was a lot of lopsided games, and at the same time, a lot of, your typical power programs moved on it. And we all know where Ross is going with this. It has to do a lot with the transfer portal and, of course, NIL and the money that's getting thrown around in college athletics. That's the truth. Because if you are a good player or a really good player at a low-level program like McNeese or whatever else you want to throw out there, Colorado State, something along those lines, you're not going to hang around at a program that can't really afford to keep you. And unless you just really love the coach and the program, you're probably going to go somewhere that's going to pay you twice as much money to go play. And so you're seeing all the talented players from the lower level teams making their way into bigger programs to showcase their talents. And so we are seeing that a lot more, at least this year. We're seeing not a lot of the underdogs have the talent to knock off the big ones because their talented players are playing at other programs. Simple as that. I mean, a prime example. You look at Omaha. Like, Omaha had a great run this year, an amazing run. It's their first ever trip to the NCAA tournament out of the Summit League. They make it to the tournament. They get beat by St. John's. They had a great first half, but fell apart in the second half. But my point being is they had a young man on their team named Frankie Fiddler who was really, really good. He was their leading scorer, a really talented player. And he left to go to Michigan State. Now, who knows if he sticks around and that team chemistry is very good at Omaha or if it's just as good. But if he's on that Omaha team, does that give them a chance of possibly knocking off St. John's and competing in the second half after being right there in the first half? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. It's hard to say. But I do believe that we are seeing Cinderella hurting this year because of the portal, because a lot of the talented pieces in college athletics are moving on and are going to bigger programs and having the success there. So if you're making these, and this is not the right term, but if you're making these superstar teams with all the best players at the major conferences because they have the money to afford these guys and girls, then you're going to see these things happen. I mean, the women's tournament has always, for a good amount of time, has kind of always been like this because the best players go to the best programs, and you don't see a whole lot of upsets in the women's basketball tournament. You see more of, just the higher seeds advancing on. That is what you typically see because the best players are going to the best programs, and there's only so many great programs. Whereas for a while in the men's game, you were starting to see talent getting dispersed across multiple different programs, even lower level ones, and they were coming together to knock off upsets. Now, I do want to say in this conversation that, yes, even though the numbers would show that Cinderella might be dying, especially in this year's tournament, I don't believe that it is going to be gone forever. I'm not saying that this is going to happen every single year. I think this year is a little bit of a special year and maybe even for a couple of years to come. But I do believe that in the course of maybe a 3 to 5 year span, we are going to see we're going to see Cinderella make a resurgence. We're going to see those teams come back and have upsets. I do believe that there are programs that have really special years that put it all together for a game and they're able to knock off and maybe even make a little bit of a run like we saw St. Peter's do a few years ago, all the way, I think, to the Elite Eight is where they went at St. Peter's, which was an unbelievable story. That was awesome. But I think maybe for a year or two, we're probably just going to see this where it's going to be a little bit more chalky in the NCAA tournament. We're going to see the higher seeds advance all the way there, and we're going to see maybe even 3 to 4 number one seeds in the Final Four, just because the rich are going to get richer in this era. But I think over time we will see once again the talent disperse. We're going to see some places, they get a lot of talent, but they don't play everybody, so they drop down to smaller programs and maybe have success there. I do believe that we will see that, but there's no doubt that the quality of basketball in this year's tournament has been very high quality. It's been very, very good. You're seeing the best of the best out there. Even though there are no underdog victories and it has been less unpredictable and even a little bit less thrilling for some fans, it's still a very high quality tournament. And you're seeing a lot of high talented pieces, and you're going to see some really good games here starting back up on Thursday as you get going with the Sweet 16 and whittle it down to the Final Four. You're going to see that, but it is kind of sad to see that Cinderella is not really in the fold this year, but that's okay. It's not the absolute end of the world, I guess is the way to put it. It's not the end of the world. I do believe we're going to see some other upsets come into play. I mean, this year you're saying, well, what are there any upsets that could be happening? I mean, there's nothing really major. I mean, the 10 seed Arkansas is the lowest seeded team left in the Sweet 16, and they're coached by John Calipari. And, of course, Arkansas, who's got a whole bunch of money because of the Walton family. That's the lowest seeded team at this point in time. The lowest seeded team. So, like I said, extremely chalky in the men's NCAA tournament, but it's not the end of the world because I do believe over time we're going to continue. We will see teams come back and be able to fill their rosters a little bit more, and hopefully. And once again, I don't know if it's ever going to happen. I don't know how they get the toothpaste back in the tube, but it would be great to find a way to limit to where we just see guys and girls, and more on the guy side, obviously. But I mean, just picking up and leaving after every year. Every single year, we're going somewhere new. Like I said, I find it so weird from the broadcaster's perspective to talk about a player who in the NCAA tournament is on his 4th team in 4 years. He started out here, he went here, then he was here, and now he's here. I could get maybe one move. I could understand that. Like I said, I would be all down for a transfer portal deal where, hey, you get one free transfer. After that, you're going to have to do that stuff. That's just my opinion on that. On the FB Bank text line, 785-899-2222. Texter chimes in. Mid-majors are just feeders for power conferences. You don't have mid-majors with veteran programs and 2 or 3 years of cohesion from those guys sticking around. Those veteran-laden mid-majors used to have a chance because of their cohesive play and versus more talented ones, or versus the more talented like one-and-done teams like Kentucky. Not playing for the team on the front of the jerseys anymore. No, this is all a very good point, Texter. A very good point. That is why those mid-major teams had the success they did, because they had guys that hung around for 2 or 3 years and became a cohesive unit. Now you are, like you said, now you are finding a way to put, now you're just taking those guys after 1 or 2 years, they're moving on somewhere else. And so pretty much, if you're not in the SEC, the Big Ten, maybe even in the ACC, if you're not in the Power 4, SEC, Big 12, Big 10, and ACC, if you are not in those 4 conferences, everybody else has pretty much turned into a junior college. Pretty much. I mean, you've turned into a program where you're bringing in people to, be here for a year or so, and then if you're good enough, you're going to move on. That's what they pretty much have become. They've become feeder programs for the bigger ones, and I would agree with this texter's opinion. I would agree. That's why that's why Cinderella was able to be successful, because they had things that other teams didn't, which was that cohesiveness of playing together for multiple years. They were a true team. That's not the case anymore. Now you got to hope that you catch lightning in a bottle if you're a mid-major coach, where you're able to put together a team for a year or maybe 2 if you're lucky, and then have a chance to make a run. And that's very, very difficult to do. Very difficult to do. So then it's a sad thing. It's a sad thing. As that texter said, not playing for the team on the front of the jersey anymore. It's more about the name on the back and for the wallet. That's what it's about. And that's the sad part. That's what it's become. And because of, and even though in the professional level that you can pay players and all that stuff, there are contracts that say you have to be here for a certain amount of time. In college, it's a free world, and you can go wherever you want to go, and they have to find a way to tamper that down. If you want to pay guys, that's fine. If you want to pay girls, that's fine. But you're going to have to find a way to tamp down on how you can it's the free reign of everybody going wherever they want, whenever they want. You got to find a way to lock that down. You got to find a way. And in a kind of shifting gears here, but you're talking about paying players. And I was listening to an interview with Nebraska head men's wrestling coach Mark Manning yesterday, because Nebraska wrestling, for those who don't know, had a phenomenal showing at the national championships. So Penn State, of course, like Coach Gio said, ran away from, I think it's their 12th national championship in the last 14 years. I mean, Penn State's the powerhouse of men's college wrestling. But Nebraska had a great showing. They ended up finishing in 2nd place. They surpassed unbelievable programs like Iowa and Oklahoma State and some other great programs in wrestling in previous years. But Nebraska surpassed them this year. And he was talking about NIL and how you do it in wrestling, and it's hard because how do you go about Penn State's over there giving athletes $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 to come and wrestle at their program because they've got the NIL backing to do it, and that's awesome. And other programs, a majority of other wrestling programs at Division I don't have that kind of financial backing. They just don't have that kind of financial backing. They could maybe pay a wrestler maybe $100,000 or $200,000, but I don't know about much more than that. But the thing that caught my ear that I love was Coach Manning said, when I recruit these guys, I tell them, you do not make any money, or you're not going to make really any money until you prove to me that you are worth the money that we're going to possibly give you. Which means you're going to have to come here and become a conference champion. You're going to have to become a national, an All-American or a national champion. When you become something, that's when we're going to pay you. And to me, that is how it should be. I believe that is how it should be. I believe in college sports. If you want to get paid, prove to me that you are worth the money. Just don't give money to people because, well, they're talented. They've shown they're talented in high school. So let's just let them come and play. And we'll pay you whatever it takes to get you here. You want $500,000? You want flights home? You want a house to live in or a car to drive? We'll do whatever you want. Just come play for us. No, it should be about come to this school where you can not only get an education, but of course we'll take care of you. You can play the sport that you love. And if you are good, then we are willing to give you the money. Then we are willing to pay you what you are worth. We're not going to pay you what you think you are worth or what we think you are worth early. You're going to show us what you are worth and then go forth. That is what I would love to see. I would love to see that happen for college athletics. And they are doing it, like I said, at other programs. They've put their foot down and saying, we're not going to pay you unless you prove to us your worth, and you're going to have to earn it. And I'm fine with that. Because it's going to be a whole lot better if it's earned than just absolutely given to them. And it doesn't teach anybody anything unless it is earned. Anyway, interesting story about Cinderella and is it dead? And there's plenty of articles and plenty of conversation out there about that from the national media, I should say. All right, we got to get to a timeout. We'll come back. We still got about 8 to 10 minutes left to go on our program today. When we return, we will dive into some sad news surrounding some great radio voices from the region. And wrap it up with a little bit of college baseball on tap for tonight. You're listening to the Morning Blitz here on a Tuesday.
Get ready for the Schilling Cattle Production Sale Wednesday, March 26th at 1 p.m. Central Time. With 60 Angus and 5 Limflex bulls and 10 Angus heifers, there's plenty to choose from. These are big, stout performance kind of cattle and great selection for Cavionese bulls. Check them out on Facebook at Schilling Cattle, or you can also watch the sale at TV Auction. The sale is located 6 miles north of the I-70 Exchange in Brewster, Kansas. Come check out great cattle, meet great people, and best of all, eat some fantastic food. So don't forget to mark your calendars for the Schilling Cattle Production Sale Wednesday, March 26th, 6 miles north of Brewster, Kansas.
Spring is here, and Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware has everything you need for the season. Get your lawn looking its best with Ultimate Fertilizer and power up with Ego blowers and mowers. Got a project? They got a surplus of lumber ready to go. Plus, fire up the fun with their selection of grills and griddles. Hoover's is also proud to sponsor the Pioneer 5K, 10K, half and full marathon supporting Colby Community College cross country on April 26th and remind you to sign up and participate. It's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your one-stop shop for spring.
At FNB Bank, we know family comes first. Whether you're opening a savings account for your kids, buying a new home, or planning for the future, we're here to help every step of the way. With personalized service and flexible options, we make banking easy for your growing family. FNB Bank, serving families, strengthening communities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery, ingestion, and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
Tackle winter driving with confidence in a Ford F-250 from Dan Brenner Ford. Their trucks are built to handle the toughest conditions. And when you do need a tune-up or a quick fix, their expert repair services will keep your vehicle running smoothly all winter long. They offer in-house financing, leasing deals, and auto loans to suit your needs and your budget. Drive into winter with Dan Brenner Ford and be ready for any weather conditions that come your way. Visit them today at 1520 Highway 27 in Goodland.
Start your day with a blitz of sports news, analysis, and interviews.
Sounds like a pretty damn good deal to me.
This is the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
As always, just a friendly reminder, if you missed any of the program, you can go back and listen to the podcast, which is available on anywhere you get your podcast. They'll be posted just shortly after the show is over. And also, if you want to go back and rewatch the show on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream, you can do that as well by going back to YouTube, following us on NWKS Radio on YouTube, and you can see the show again if you want to rewatch that as well. So there's plenty of ways to go back and see where Ross went wrong, and more than likely that's what probably happened. Tough couple. I know we didn't talk about this yesterday. I did not get to it, but I do know that our great listener Michael chimed in with some thoughts on this as well. But a tough weekend for Kansas fans, as a previous voice of the Jayhawks, Bob Davis, passed away. And so a sad time for him. It's really been a sad few months, almost month and a half, honestly, of lies. Also saw this weekend, I think it's Dan Israel, who was kind of the executive producer for the Chiefs Radio Network. He passed away, was a big part of that. And then, probably been now over a month now, I'm guessing, pretty close to it. The voice of the Huskers, Greg Sharp, passed away. It's really been a tough time for voices of people's, for sports fans of this region, been really hard. Bob Davis and Greg Sharp were voices of college athletic programs. Great calls, for Bob Davis. No matter if it's what it might have been. He had great calls for basketball and for football for Kansas, and Greg Sharp did the same thing for Nebraska. It really is a sad time when you lose these people that, for people like my age, for example, who are in their mid-30s and even older, and to an extent even younger, you grew up listening to these guys as you were following your favorite teams, whether it was Kansas or Nebraska. You grew up following these guys. And heck, for Greg Sharp, even going further back for those who follow Kansas State, because he did Kansas State for a long time. I mean, these are people that were soundtracks to our sports lives for a long time. And so been a tough stretch with some lost radio personalities, unfortunate passing once again with Bob Davis and Greg Sharp passing, and of course the Chiefs Radio Network producer Dan Israel. But it's been a tough go. A lot of big time names in the radio world have passed on, and as sad as that is, from perspectives like me, it's also somewhat exciting because other guys get a chance to move up and try bigger things. But at the same time, also very sad to lose these great voices from our region.
High drive, deep left, grand slam, and back lifts his ball high and deep to right. How about a walk-off Grady? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes swings it. It's there. Hardman, jackpot, Kansas City.
Wrapping up the show with some baseball in the walk-off. Once again, I mentioned this earlier in the program. Colby Community College Baseball hosting Otero today for a doubleheader this afternoon at Young Memorial Field in Colby. Trojans on a heater. They've won 10 of their last 12 baseball games. Also, the program opener and opening day for high school baseball, Decatur Community going down to Scott City here this afternoon. Boy, it should be some beautiful weather for baseball. I mean, nothing better than sunshine and 70 degrees. And then also, college baseball, one of my favorite times of the year. It's been going on for a while. I mean, both teams are probably a good, 25 games into their season, maybe a week or two into conference play. And tell you what, Kansas and Kansas State deserve a ton of success. Kansas State, they are home tonight against Nebraska at Toynton Family Stadium. The Wildcats 5-1, sitting atop of the Big 12 standings. And going up against a Nebraska team, which was picked to win the Big Ten, but is currently in dead last. I mean, you talk about just an absolute deflating situation. Nebraska baseball picked to have a phenomenal season. All these guys returning, and they have just completely pooed the bed at this point in time. Just 10-13 on the season. And not to be forgotten about Kansas baseball, how great of a year they're having. They're 18-5 is Kansas baseball. They are just coming off of their worst weekend of the year. They were beaten in a series by Arizona State 2-1, but nonetheless, they are absolutely phenomenal, and they are one of the best long ball hitting teams in the country. 49 home runs, tied for 6th nationally. By the way, both those games tonight, KU will host St. Thomas at Hoagland Park as part of a 6-game homestand, and Nebraska and K-State facing off at Twain Family. Both those games can be watched on ESPN+. Also, I'm sure he's not listening, but a shout-out to my first ever boss in the radio world, Sasha Sanguinetti. Turns the big 5-0, as he would say. Congrats on another trip around the sun. See you tomorrow here on The Blitz.
Rocket 102.5, KKCI, Goodland, Colby, Burlington. This is Rocket 102.5.